B-Bad and Brandon.
Now, there you go. We are on and recording. Sorry.
No countdown.
Oh, it counted down for me, remember?
Yeah, true.
Sorry about that. But we will kick this off with a very warm welcome to the Platform Podcast, Annie Short.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Annie.
No, thank you for coming on board.
you.
It's an absolute honour to have you on. I was actually I was showing a new member through the gym the other day, and we stopped at the all times records board, and you know your name's still kicking up there on the all times total record board, and like I don't think anyone's going to touch that for a while.
Yeah, I'm so glad that before I switched over to bodybuilding, I stayed in it long enough to keep the records and everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't quit like a year earlier.
Yeah,
That
fair.
would have been really
What's the
sad.
total?
Best total 500.
Oh!
What body weight did you do that at?
I was bigger than I am now, so I cut to the 82 fast.
Fuck.
I didn't really weigh myself though then, so I don't know what I was, but I think I cut about 4 kilos to the 82 fast.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Damn.
that was a while ago.
Yeah, because when was that? Would have been 2016 or 2017.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's how we know each other.
Yeah, yeah.
We know each other back from back then.
100%.
Um,
What a wild ride. Because, yeah, I think the total on the board, and, like, obviously that was before you did the 500. I think it's 467 and a half from memory.
yeah, that would have been GPC Nationals.
Yeah.
2015, I think, or 2016.
And no one's come near it in 6 years.
Hopefully not.
Yeah,
Hopefully no one's done that.
I would just,
Stay weak, guys.
I would
Stay
just start
weak.
sabotaging all the lifters that get close.
Please do.
I got you.
Please do. That would be really good. That would be great. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's crazy how far powerlifting's come in that time, though. Like, it's a big total, but it's not compared to some of the girls now. It's crazy how much the sport's changed.
Oh, it's insane, especially in, like, because I think I first remember, Annie, yourself from, gosh, 2013 or even 2014, pretty and powerful.
Yeah, really? Okay, so that's what I was like, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, like, I think that was my first.
Tell me about myself. Tell me what you remember about me.
I think that was the first time I'd seen. I wasn't sure if you're competing, but I remember seeing you and being like, "Holy fuck, she's jacked! What the fuck?"
Thank you. Thank you.
And then in 2014, I remember like a 400 kilo total for a female was really good. I think there was maybe one chick as a super heavyweight that went 500.
Yeah, I think I was I can't remember if I was the second or third female in Australia to get a 400 total.
Holy shit!
I think I was the second non-super heavyweight to get the 400 total.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a cool time to be in the sport. I left at the right time. It's gotten really competitive now, but I entered at the right time. So that was like 2014. I switched over from PA to GPC.
Yep.
And that was at States. So GPC States. I think I got 402.5.
Wow.
So that was like first time competing
Yeah,
in wraps
wow.
and everything. So yeah.
What was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
biggest total in PA?
I can't remember. I can't. 370.
So still
I think.
massive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Still
wraps
strong.
helped, but like I didn't have long to use them.
Yeah.
But I like bench was always a really strong lift for me because I had issues with my knees at one point. So I became a bench specialist, and then not many of the girls could do bench. So yeah.
Yeah.
Back then, like, sorry, you go, Johnny.
How did you come into a sport like powerlifting back then? Because, like you said, 2013, 2014, not a very popular sport, particularly for ladies.
Brandon, you've been in
yeah.
for a while, but how long have you been in? I don't know, like your backstory, and
Yeah.
Johnny, so I'll interview you as well. Like, when did you get into it? Like, what?
I'd been around a while
Yeah,
before
Johnny's-
2013.
Okay, sweet.
Johnny's probably been in. You started lifting when I was still in high school, didn't you,
Two
Johnny?
Yeah, buddy. First nationals, 2007 Capo, I
I'm so
think.
ignorant when it comes to you. I should have done my research.
Yeah.
Johnny.
But we haven't met, have we? We haven't actually properly met.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. I don't think we've officially met. No, not
I
in
love
person.
it.
No. But I've been around a while.
We worked out that I was starting grade 9 in 2007, and Johnny, you were fucking going a bloody back slapping, face slapping yourself at Capo Nats, and I just love that. I think
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Johnny was
yeah,
the OG, and then I entered. I did my first comp in 2014. My first exposure being 2014. The first comp I ever went to support my partner at the time was Pretty and Powerful 2014,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then it was like I think it was possibly like they just filled 2 flights of women.
Yeah. It was really. So I was actually at. To answer your question, how did I get into it? I started lifting when I was like 13. I
mm,
have a little bit like of an obsessive personality, so I started doing like athletics at my high school, and then I was actually in primary school at the time, so I went to my brother's high school to do athletics training there because I just wanted to be really good. And then it stopped, and I was
yep,
like, well, what do I do now? And the coach, I think, just wanted to get rid of me. He's like, go do the weights or something, like go do something else. So I joined grade 8. I got made it to high school, joined the weights room, and I just got hooked. And from there, I was like, yeah, I've got like all my diaries from back when I was like 15 of like every single thing that I ate that day, every single thing that I got, like probably like 3 years worth of daily logs of how much water I drank, what time I went to bed, what time I woke up, what my mood was, what my training was, every single set, rep, warm up, like
wow,
obsessive. So then I started actually joining, because I was just in like this little like kind of country town in Queensland where I was living, where I grew up, and
yep,
I started joining the online bodybuilding forums because I wanted to just
oh
meet
yeah,
more people, and through that, like that's literally changed my life. Hey, it's pretty crazy now to see,
yeah,
but I met different. So there was bodybuilding.com forums, and then there was, I don't know if you guys know about the Aussie Gym Junkies forums.
Yeah.
So
mm,
bodybuilding.com, I made friends all over the world, so I'm still really good friends with, like, we've all become like pretty good at what we do now, and we still, like, when I go to America, like we meet up and hang out and stuff. But the
That's cool.
Aussie Gym Junkies, it's
yep,
really cool, and it's like we were all like on the teen forum, so we're all the same age, and now we're like adults, like running our own gyms, like elite level powerlifters, pro bodybuilders. Like it's really, I think one of the guys competed at the Olympia this year. We've got like some of the like strongest powerlifters in the world. It's really cool. But anyway, and then we, on the Aussie Gym Junkies forum, I met Scott Watson, and I met Ben
yeah,
Polkey, and I met, I don't know if you guys remember Tara.
Hmm.
Tara and I became really good friends.
yeah,
And gosh, who else did I meet on there? Quite a few other people, and they were basically like I was just this kid who was lifting, and I was really strong. I was doing kind of power building. They were like, you should compete in powerlifting. You should compete in powerlifting.
yeah,
And then my parents, I think, were a bit worried. I was like 17 at the time. They're like, no, you've got to wait until you're 18 because once well, the rule
ah,
was you're once you're
boo,
18, and I was like, it makes no difference. And they're like, yeah, but legally when you're 18, we can't stop you, whereas now we can. So I think I
ah,
almost, in grade 12, I almost went and competed at Pro Rock because Tara nearly convinced me to come down and compete, but didn't. And then I think I remember in grade 12, like wagging school to go to Brisbane to go train at the original PTC Brisbane, now Valhalla.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I moved to the Gold
yep,
Coast and started training at Ben Polkey's gym, Gold Coast Barbell, and then just started competing in
yep.
powerlifting.
I
I always loved bodybuilding, but powerlifting kind of distracted me along the way.
yeah.
I think my favourite bit there is you wag
Well, it
school
was
to
kind
go
of
to the
wagging, but
gym.
it was like on Wednesday afternoon, our school had like inter-school sport, and every
Yeah,
day I would go into the teacher and I would say, we need to add the weights room into after-school sport. Like the weights room is important for all sport. Like I just like came up with
yeah,
this like whole like thesis on why she needed to add it into Wednesday afternoon sport. And it got to the point she was just so sick of me coming in there.
yeah.
She said, look, Annie, get your parents to sign you out. Go. Every Wednesday, go. Like, we don't want you here. Go to the gym.
Ah,
I know for sure that you won't just be going home and lying in bed. Like, I know you're going to be going to the gym. Just go.
That's it.
And, yeah. And so then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go to Brisbane to train.
That's insane. From everything you've just divulged, like from tracking your mood, tracking your reps, your sets, your food, your water intake, they're all things that we do now. And
Yeah.
you did them as a like
mm,
instinctual as a junior burger, instinctually, like it was just
A
a
junior.
thing for you. How did you come
Yeah.
up with that idea? Was that something that you just did as a teen, or because like, you still see coaches now not tracking that data?
Yeah, so I had a really good the trainer at the weights room was really good at my school. He was a martial artist, and he really like instilled good
Mm.
technique in me. And he also, I remember him saying at one point, he's like, "Oh, I can see you're a little bit more serious than some of the buff heads here. Start tracking your weights." And so he actually got me onto the bodybuilding.com forums as well. So
Right.
I was like, okay, I'll start tracking my weights. And actually, so it wasn't actually just there that I logged it. So I had my little books that I took. I literally took them everywhere with me. I've still got them. I just moved house and I found them. And I'm like, this is like
That's amazing.
little piece of history.
Yeah.
I can tell you exactly
Excellent.
if you ask me like on these particular years, I can tell you exactly what I did at each point, like the time of the meals, the weight of the food, everything. So I'd log it in there, and then I'd take it onto the bodybuilding.com forums, and I would log all my training on there as well. So and then I'd record all my, I'd also record all my exercises that I did. So I've got a YouTube channel that documents all of my lifts from back then as well.
That's fucking
And
sick.
it would all go on the
Oh,
it would all
wow.
go on the bodybuilding and bodybuilding.com forum. So I think that I don't know. I think I really wanted to be a bodybuilder. Like my coach Mitch showed me bodybuilding.com. I wanted to be Iris Kyle. I wanted to be like at 15. That was my goal. And I remember just like having protein shakes at school. Like just yeah.
Yeah, I'm about that. I was that guy at high school
Yeah,
too.
about that life.
Yep, fucking
Yeah.
loving it too. It was glorious. I lived the
Yeah.
life of an IFBB pro without the physique or the status.
Yeah. And the kids these days just don't know what it means to be such an outcast for what you love. Like it's so mainstream now to do it. It's like,
Yeah.
but we used to do
Because
it.
that's the thing back for you back then, Annie. It would have been almost an outcast style thing. 'Cause I know I'm a bit older than you guys. Even for me, back in high school, won't say when.
Yeah.
Me and one other guy went to the gym, but none of us would talk about going to the
That's-
gym because
yeah,
it wasn't
so,
fucking cool,
the
and you'd
gym
get
was
bullied.
The cool place, like all the cool guys went. But yeah, I remember even I went to England, so my family
Yep.
went over to England for a family wedding, and when we went over there, my parents kind of said, I've got 3 brothers, so they said, you guys can each choose something you have to do, and we'll make sure that we tick off everyone's like have to items, just to kind of keep the peace, that everyone gets what they want to do. We were over for like 5 weeks or something, and I think I was like 14, 15, no, I would have been 15 or 16 at that point. And I was like, Temple Gym. Doing it, Temple Gym, that's my have to. So my parents took me to Birmingham. They dropped my brother off at Legoland, took me to Birmingham. Temple Gym, they were like, I don't know if you guys have been, but it's like the seediest little alleyway. Like, it's dodgy as dodgy gets. And
Perfect.
they were like, we're not dropping you off here. I'm like, no, it's okay. So my whole family came down to the gym. It was so embarrassing. And yeah, I just did a proper workout there. But another gym we went to, I walked in, so I researched all the gyms before we went over to know where the strength gyms were. And this one gym I found looked like it had a great weight section, which actually surprisingly back then, so that was 2009-ish, Australia was actually a lot further ahead in terms of strength training and weight training than England was, I noticed. So it was really hard to find. I couldn't find a powerlifting gym, not where we were going anyway. And so I did find one, and I got there and I was like, it's just all cardio equipment, guys. You lied to me. So I was looking everywhere. And then I saw this guy with a weight belt and I was like, I'm going to follow this guy. So I did. And he went up some like emergency exit stairs and like through this back way. And I was like, I don't know where I'm going, but I've committed. So I'm going to continue to commit. And then I saw he walked through this room that had on the door weights room. And I was like, ooh, this is my spot. So he went in, I followed him in. And I kid you not, it was like one of those, like those old Western movies, how like the cowboy walks into the saloon.
Yeah.
And like, it was like a swinging door too. So like the door started swinging and people were probably like literally mid-bicep curl. And everyone's jaws just dropped to the ground. And they're like, and then one of the guys walks over to me, he's like, I think you're in the wrong place, love. I was like, excuse me? And I had this thought like, have I walked into a men's change room? Like, have I, like you know when your brain knows something that everyone else is saying something. I was like, I swear I saw weights room. And I looked around. I'm like, this is like, where am I? What have I done? And I said, is this the weights room? yes. I'm like, I'm in the right place, guys. Right. And then that was the attitude then. And so then they loaded my bars for me and everything, which was so good. I really appreciated that. And then I think I was deadlifting like 90 kilos or something. And they were like they'd never seen a chick deadlift. So that was I was in grade 10 at the time. So that would have been like, probably 2009.
Yeah, right.
And that was the attitude. So I think for you, Johnny, it was very uncool for anyone to lift weights. But when I came through, for women, it was seen as absurd. But I'm not like in any way someone who
for sure
that fazed me. So I loved it. I loved the weirdness of it and the differentness of it. And
because even like I think when I was, how old are you, Annie? Sorry, you'd be 20.
27.
You're 27. So yeah, I'm 1 or 2. How old am I? 28. Oh yeah, so I'm 1 year older. And same thing when I threw high school. Like, it wasn't. We definitely weren't uncool by any means, but it was probably me and another 2 dudes that were going to the gym, and then like it was just a rabbit hole. As soon as we went to the gym, we started taking Jack 3D pre-workout, and as soon as we started,
the original one though,
fucking OG baby, 3 scoops of that, and you're pinging. And then I remember my mate got sold test boosters by some sup guru at like 16 years old, and we returned it the next day. He's like, my nuts are stinging, like my nuts are pinging. I'm like, I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's what happened, but you're also a 16-year-old boy. You probably just flogged it a little bit too hard. Let's be real.
Placebo's a hell of a drug as well.
100%, man. Like, you literally just got placeboed the fuck out of a test booster.
Yeah.
But, yeah, who would have thought? I know, right? Over the counter.
You telling me that didn't work?
But it's crazy to see the landscape of it. You go walk into a commercial gym now, and there's teens everywhere.
Yeah, it's teens and women, and like I'll be talking to like, mixing with women who, I just moved into this house with my housemates now, and like they don't have a lifting background, but like talking to a female, and she's talking about how she was doing deadlifts at the gym, and I'm just like, that's actually really mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Like really, really mind-blowing.
100%. I think even like my stint in a commercial gym only lasted 2 years, but there was still the women's only section. A lot of that's now being abolished, and it's just an open section for women who do want that little bit more privacy. And then the gym is free reign. It's open field, and it's really cool to see women with a heavy barbell on their back, in their hands, trap bar deadlifting, different types of equipment. Safety bars are becoming more and more commercialized, which is, for the most part, really, really good, as long as it doesn't drop, obviously, the quality of the bar. But I think strength training in itself has come leaps and bounds. But, even from your story of walking into a gym in the UK and they're going, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, that's insane.
Could you imagine that happening now? Like, no,
not
at all. And yeah, you mentioned the Pretty and Powerful. I think I was actually, Tara and I were both at the first Pretty and Powerful. And yeah, it was just, because I was PA then, so I just snuck into everything.
That's cool.
But, real badass. But, I remember Scott didn't let us wear tutus, and we were pretty pissed off about that. And it was just I think there was 7 girls or something.
Yeah.
Max.
There were 7 girls, I remember that. And also it's kind of ironic that Scott Watson won't let you wear tutus when I've seen so many photos of that guy in a dress. So
yeah, how the tides change.
I know.
How the tides change.
Shout out Scott Watson there.
Yeah.
Mate, and now
must be pretty. Sorry, man. I was going to say it must be a pretty cool experience to see that transition of female lifting weights coming from where you were to where it is today.
And now
yourself, a huge advocate for chicks lifting, which is unreal.
I studied Bachelor of Exercise Science, so that has basically become I would say that's probably if I could do one thing, it would get more people to lift weights, just because of I saw how it affected me. I was at the student accommodation. I was at a student accommodation on the Gold Coast studying exercise science. So I was the most cliche lifestyle you could have, in terms everyone there surfed, everyone there went to the gym, everyone that was just the life. It was so good, but party, party. And I didn't, because I couldn't they were not I couldn't do the drugs or anything that they were taking, because I was drug tested in PA, and I couldn't even be in the room if they were doing it, because I was I can't be associated with that. And then I couldn't I wasn't drinking because
Yep.
I was always training. And like a lot of the girls who I know who had really bad body image issues, like I never really felt that because I was always really in control of my body. And I don't know, like I think a lot of women's strength coaches have this whole like, oh yeah, I tried every diet, I tried to lose weight, I hated my body, all this stuff. I'm like, I didn't have that. I like just wanted to get really jacked and strong, and I used to like measure all my muscles when I was 15 so I could grow them as big as possible, and like, yeah. So I think that it can really, I think like, I don't know, this is a bit of a weird tangent, but like I've just started getting a trainer for my dog, and it's so that he stops getting really anxious around other dogs and getting like amped up. And the dog trainer taught me that instead of like telling him off or trying to fix the issue of his bad behavior, teach him what to do instead. And I think that strength training kind of does that. So rather than like trying to psychology out your way out of like feeling bad about your body, this, why not just teach your body how to like move well and how to enjoy, how to embrace, like build the body you want rather than trying to destroy the body you hate, like all that kind of stuff. Like I think it's so beneficial.
I think that's a really fucking good point you kind of touch on there. Like, you know, obviously I'm not going to comment on female body image because obviously I'm not a female, but you mentioned the thing about not being in control, but you were in control of everything. You did everything right, and you didn't have those issues. Do you think control or having some sense of control over your body is a big part of why women could fall into these body image issues?
Look, I think it's a really complex topic, and I actually don't want to like just sort of brush over it and say I don't have those issues, therefore these other women were doing the wrong thing, because I know that it comes from a whole very complex layer and dynamic
100%.
of things. You know, like I've heard people talk about there's a huge percentage of women that don't participate in like family photos and friends outing with friends because of body image issues. They're scared to wear bikinis, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that I've cured myself of that, especially now I compete in bodybuilding, which is like the most like it screws with your head the most in that way. But like for me, all I can talk about is from my own personal experience. For me, having something like strength training, and I remember, so what I also did, I was obsessed with this one lifter, Julia Zoglova from Russia. So she was a 67 kilo powerlifter in her peak. She used to train with Andrei Milanichev. And actually when Andre was over after one of the competitions, I actually caught up with him and hung out with him, and I was talking to him. I was like, okay, tell me about Julia. I need to know everything about Julia. But yeah, so I was so obsessed with her actually that I found this website that had all of her competition results, right?
Yeah.
So it had her, it had from the very start of when she was competing to the end. And like, I know this is like one of her gym lists, but I know that she squatted 250 for a double with just wraps.
Holy.
And she had, at 67 kilos body weight, so no suit. And she had a 137 for either a double or a triple bench. And that was raw, no shirt. And 270 deadlifts, I think, without a suit. And that was back before I started competing. So I don't know why more people don't know about her. She was a pioneer.
I was just thinking the same thing.
For sure. She has red hair as well. So, like, actually, there was a few times I uploaded photos of her to like Facebook and stuff, and people thought that it was me. But anyway, so I found this website that outlined all of her competition results, and I noticed that she wasn't always a 67 lifter. So it had her age, the date of the competition, the weights that she'd lifted, whether it was equipped or not, and her body weight. And what I just looked at, I was like, look at the start. This is where she is. This is where I'm actually further ahead than she is at this point. So I looked at her body weight, the weight that she lifted, and and her competition results. And I was like, if I can just stay on track with this, because a lot of lifters are like, you have to get lean. And that was when a lot of people were like trying to get lean and compete and drop weight. And I was like, I actually don't have to drop weight. I just need to stay on par with this and do it for the time that she did, which was a number of years. And then I'll be sweet. And then obviously I stopped before I got to that point. But she was a small person. I don't think I could ever beat a 67 lifter. But that really helped me. So while a lot of people were worried about, like a lot of my friends were worried about their weight, and maybe it's just because of who I am, or maybe it's because of the strength training, but I had something else to focus on. And I wasn't stressed. I was like, I just need to stick up. I need to
just keep
like hold.
I just really like
Julia Zoglova.
I really like the point you made before of teaching your body to move well and nourish it well and not destroy the thing you have. Like, I think that's a really, really good point. Not just for females either, but for males. Like, from a body, as a young male, body dysmorphia is a very prevalent and relevant thing right now, especially since the age of social media when we're getting influx with these jack dudes on very easy to access platforms. I think
Yeah.
that message is such a good message that it doesn't matter if you're, female or male. Like, it's fucking important to know that you have one body and teach it to move well, teach it how to move, teach it to, fuel yourself well, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But rather than destroying this thing you hate for no apparent reason, but because you don't look like something else.
Yeah, I think the sport's starting to move that way now as well.
100%.
Like, I'm noticing it, and even like I work at Base Gym now, so I mix with a lot of like high level lifters, and just like talking to Sebastian about his coaching methods. They're all health based. It's all like health first. And like, I know he was talking about like when he was coaching Thor for the World's Strongest Man, like looking at his diet was just healthy food. He had Stanifridine.
Yeah, Stanifridine.
I
Yep.
mispronounce his name. So he was doing Thor's diet, and it was just really good food. And it was like, was that the reason he won? Maybe, maybe not. But it's just that approach is starting to take over, I think.
100%. I think there's good people in the industry, like your Stans, like your Sebastian Orbs, doing good things, promoting, and obviously Sebastian Orbs now working with Clean Health and bringing forward good information, easily digestible information that people can take away into their own lives. And I think, as much as we demonize social media, it is also a very good tool if used correctly. And the ease of access of information, like, no longer are we scrolling bodybuilding.com forums for information. Like, it's very I can just Google search, powerlifting, and all of a sudden I have 20 resources at my disposal that are excellent if I do my own.
Yeah.
It's just now we've got to go through our own vetting process of how do we know what's good, what's bad, and it's going to come back to credibility of the coach. But all the information's there. We do, as you said, just need to teach ourselves how to do things correctly and nourish ourselves.
Yeah, it is really crazy. And like just going back like with the bodybuilding.com forums, like all of those friends who I said I made on there, like, for example, Kev, who I train with at Base Gym, he was also on the forums, so we actually met through the forums. And like, I don't know if you guys like Joe Sullivan, like he's a really good friend of mine through the bodybuilding.com forums. And when I went over there, I was talking to him, and we're hanging out. We're like, how weird is it that you own a gym and you've got, I know people who know about you through means that aren't just this dark little internet forum. Like, it's just crazy. And some of the other guys on there, like, I see like my friends follow them on social media. I'm like, this is just crazy that there's now open communications for disinformation. And it used to just be this dark place of people who were like masochists basically and really screwed up in their head. Sorry guys, but we're all part of that generation. We need to
Guilty.
Yeah, and now it's just all these like clean cut like people who have like healthy self-esteem and stuff coming into the sport. It's weird, and everyone's just it's so mainstream now. It's weird. Anyway.
Also, Joe Sullivan's a fucking animal.
Yeah, he's a total legend too. Like so I like knowing him and watching his path up through strength training. Like all of the other guys, like I said, like one of them, I think he can either competed at the Olympia or he's trying to qualify for the Olympia. He just got his pro card. Like, there's a lot of really interesting, and it just goes to show that like there's a lot of people like you don't know their backstory. Like there's so much more to
So, switching gears a bit, how'd you go? Two questions, two parts of this question. Why did you stop powerlifting when you did at the top of your game, and what made the switch to bodybuilding? Obviously, the bodybuilding you've always wanted to do, but what was the decision then to go, this is it?
Yeah, so I stopped powerlifting. To be honest, I think that I've got this genetic condition, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it is a autoimmune condition, and it affects my joints. So since I was a kid, I've been doing physiotherapy, and I have basically like there'll be periods where it's like, so it gets so bad I can't walk, or so it affects every system, so digestion, joints. It'll affect my, like, there's things that there's a lot more research going into like issues with like spinal fluid, so intracranial pressure and people having leaks of their spinal fluid, which is one of the biggest issues that come up with Ehlers-Danlos. And when you're adding in weight training and high pressure, it becomes a real issue. So I was with my ex at the time, and he was coaching me, and then we broke up, and just like as you do with breakups, I kind of didn't train as much. I lost a lot of weight, so about 20 kilos, and I moved away from Brisbane, so I moved to the Gold Coast, and then a couple of months later moved down to Sydney. So I actually continued powerlifting. So I actually moved to Sydney to train at Base Gym. I went there on a holiday, and I got talking to Bass, and I'd been looking for a new coach because as I said, my ex was coaching me. I'd been looking for a new coach, and with my Ehlers-Danlos, I have to be so careful. And I have big trust issues with who I let, because with a coach you have to hand over to them.
Yep. And
I was just finding that it was really difficult. So I was actually getting coached by Joe, which was really good, but he's in America, so I needed face to face. And I went to train at Base Gym for a week, and just loved it. And I was talking to Bass, and he said, if I said, do you do online coaching? He said, yeah, but it's better in person. I was like, well, yeah, that's what I would rather in person. So he said, yeah, if you move here, you can become one of our athletes. And so 2 weeks later, I just moved down there. I just packed up and left.
That's awesome, though. But,
and
I mean, I guess...
Yeah, so...
Your life so far sounds like it's been the pursuit of chasing crushing kilos.
Yeah, until now, and I'm just weak and aesthetic.
That's so...
yeah, it's...
sorry, how'd you pronounce it again?
Ehlers-Danlos.
Ehlers-Danlos. I have a client with it now, so it affects your...
Really?
Yeah, so working with her has been...
Yeah, feel free to ask me anything about it. Not obviously not now, because it's not what the podcast is about, but if you need help...
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. I've been working with her, and if for those listening, it's the syndrome affects your joint elasticity, so you're actually more prone to things like subluxations and things like that, because it can just dislocate or go. Your tendons don't have that tensile strength that say myself would, or anyone else without it. It's absolutely insane. And to know that you achieved what you've done in the sport of powerlifting with that makes what you've done even that makes it so much more impressive.
Oh, thank you.
That's just mind blowing.
People used to say I've got great genetics, and I was like, my ankles, like the subluxations. My third squat at Pro Raw 6, which was the one that I got first in. My ankle subluxed halfway up, and I was like, I'm used to this. This happens in training all the time. This is just part of it.
That's genuine. Because you're talking about, okay, so we ask people to put weights that should never be on our backs. Theoretically, we ask them to do it, but we ask them to do it in a safe manner, knowing you have the possibility to sublux a joint at any given time. How do you?
Really?
Is it because it's just all you know? I don't even know how you'd overcome that. How would you overcome that fear? Going, oh, you know what? I could pop something out as soon as I go down.
So I got diagnosed with EDS in my 20s, and I started lifting when I was 13.
Yeah, right.
My mum's a physio, and my dad's a doctor, so my whole life I've had really good healthcare.
Yeah.
But it's such a not known about condition that neither of them even picked it up. So my mum's got joint hypermobility. My mum has Ehlers-Danlos, but is also not diagnosed with it. Well, I've been diagnosed, but she's only, I think she kind of got semi-diagnosed in her 60s, right?
Yep.
So for us, our medical cabinet at home was just so extensive and full, and my dad, any issues that we had were just dealt with. So I think with a diagnosis like Ehlers-Danlos, the prognosis for everyone is so different. And so I think the fact that I didn't actually know that I had a condition, I knew that I had joint hypermobility. I knew that my joints were always dislocated. From when I was a kid, I had my joints all strapped up. I used to play rugby at school. I actually started a petition to include women's rugby in school. So I think that, not having that official diagnosis, I think helped. And then I think also the other thing is that it's a degenerative condition. So most people get affected in their late 20s to early 30s, which is where I am now, which I'm feeling it. So I was kind of in a good period of my life to be doing the training. But also, and thirdly, and probably most importantly, strength training actually fixed a lot of my joint issues. So for me, yes, I will be strength training until I die, because it stops my joints. If I remember during uni, I had periods where I wasn't training as much. My fingers became so hypermobile, I couldn't use cutlery because they were just they would bend back too far. So deadlifting 150 kilos plus is what holds literally even my small joints together. So that, yeah,
That's insane, dude.
the Ehlers-Danlos loss doesn't help the powerlifting, but the powerlifting really helps the Ehlers-Danlos loss to the point where I don't have most of the issues that most people with EDS my age complain about, but I know that I would if I didn't train.
That's fucking sick. Like, that's very, very, like,
Thank you.
like, without the lack of a better word, like, that's fucking inspirational to hear, because
Thank you.
that's insane. Like, you are honestly what I would consider a pioneer of women's strength. Hearing you talk just from, hell, I don't even know how long we've been going for. 35 minutes, it says. We've been going for 35 minutes, and all your stories lead to the fact that you are at the forefront of so many things that we do now to help certain conditions, positive effects on our body and mindset. Like, you were doing it instinctually from a very young age. That is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm put on the earth to do.
100%. Like, I believe it.
That's right. That's what I mean. Like, one of my biggest passions is getting people to do more strength training, and like, if I can get more people with Ehlers-Danlos doing strength training, and strength training doesn't have to be what I do. It doesn't have to be lifting these crazy weights. I'm lucky because I got in before the condition degenerated, because I'm getting the degeneration now and I've already got the baseline strength. I don't think if I started now, I don't think I'd be anywhere near what I can do. And I'm not saying to people with Ehlers-Danlos, you can go out and deadlift 200 plus kilos. But like, resistance training is literally just moving your body against resistance. And especially for people with Ehlers-Danlos who have such little control over their bodies and who feel like the world is, it's that same feeling like I was describing with a lot of people with body dysmorphia and things, especially through that awkward teenage, early adult years. You want something, but you don't know how to get there. And that's what people with Ehlers-Danlos have. They want to just live a normal life, but they have no idea how to get there. And for me, I use strength training literally as a medication. So I'll take like my booty bands everywhere with me. If my hip starts hurting, sorry guys, just gotta go do some exercises. I've taken them on like first dates before. Like, anywhere I go, I take my booty band to do some exercises.
That's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, like, all I just imagine is the first date, you pull out these booty bands, just go do some exercise. They're getting the wrong idea. They think you're warming up for something else.
No, I'm sorry guys, I'm just warming up to
Yeah.
function like a normal human, actually. So yeah, to answer your original question, that kind of prompted me. So like, I moved to Sydney, and Bass knows about Ehlers-Danlos. He's got family with Ehlers-Danlos.
Yeah.
So as soon as I heard that, I was like, that's it, I'm moving here. Trusted him 100%. We did a competition. He helped me prep for a competition. But at that point, I'd lost 20 kilos. I was a high 60, low 70 kilo lifter. I enjoyed the way I looked. I didn't want to get any bigger. I had a lot of digestive issues from the stress of going through a breakup. That it prompts a lot of Ehlers-Danlos, like it's autoimmune, so stress makes it worse. So I had a whole, like, I couldn't eat anything because of the Ehlers-Danlos, and my joints were getting worse. So I had issues with my neck, with the like the CSF, cerebrospinal fluid stuff in my neck, which made it basically impossible to bench. Every time I tried to bench, I got a migraine.
Fuck.
And with me, for my bench was my best lift. I had a 115 kilo bench, and I got it through Shaco training. So training 4 sessions a week. I couldn't have a migraine 4 days a week. I could do it twice a week. I could handle having a migraine twice a week from it, but it was like, my bench is not going anywhere. And I'm also unwilling to get any bigger. For the first time, my knees weren't such a problem. Like, when I was competing as a heavy lifter, I couldn't squat. Like, I had to just squat for the last 4 weeks coming into a competition. I couldn't train my squat otherwise because my knees, I couldn't even do a bodyweight squat. So because of the EDS. So it just got to the point, it was like, you know what, there's a lot of, I'm good with roadblocks, but there's just, I think life is calling me in a different direction now.
Yeah.
And I was just living my best life in Sydney. I was loving life. So I got strong. And then I thought at one point, I was like, you know what, I can't eat anything because of my EDS. And by that point, I'd had my dog Ron. I was like, I've got to walk Ron every day. So I'm doing cardio and I'm doing training. Why not add a diet in and actually get lean? So I contacted one of my buddies from the bodybuilding.com forums, who's now a really high-level bodybuilder and a really great bodybuilding coach, and talked to him. And we got started to get lean. And then they introduced the wellness division. So the wellness division is the one that I compete in now in bodybuilding. And I said to him, I said, Jason, I do not want to compete in bodybuilding. I know you do, and I know that you know that I've always wanted to, but trust me, I don't. I just want a hot girl summer. I'm single, I'm in Sydney, I just want to look hot and like slim thick, all that kind of stuff. And he's like, no, it's all good. And then I started to get good results. A month in, I was like, let's look at competitions. and then they introduced the wellness division, which is like between bikini and figure. So it started in Brazil. The women in Brazil, their lower bodies were too big to fit into bikini, but they didn't have the upper body of a figure girl. So they introduced the wellness division, and then it had been running in Brazil for years. And so then they introduced it to America, and then I started competing. And my first comp was the Arnold's in the US. I just wanted to do something. Just had to go for it.
And how'd you go?
I didn't place at all. I had a great physique. For my first competition.
Yeah.
So there was like 60 girls, so that was actually the best. Like if I had to retire from bodybuilding, it would be after that. Like, so because all of these girls, I don't know if you guys know bodybuilding politics. There's IFBB Pro League or NPC and IFBB Elite, and they used to be one, but then they split. So IFBB Elite in Brazil was where they ran the wellness competitions. So it had a well-established competition circuit of really like top of the top girls who are now winning the Olympia. And IFBB Pro League or NPC, they're mostly in like North America. So IFBB Elite was more like South America and Europe. And for the wellness division, it was the only federation that had the wellness division. Then NPC came along, and NPC, we're talking like in USA, like Arnold's, they do Arnold's Australia, all of the Pro League competitions over here, and Olympia. So they're attached to NPC and Pro League, IFBB Pro League. So they said, actually, we're going to do the wellness division now. So the Arnold Classic 2020, which was the one that I did in Columbus, Ohio, it was the first Arnold's that they'd had, and I think it was the second or third American competition where they ran the wellness division. So all of the top girls from IFBB Elite, who were all pros, they were like, oh, we're going to do this competition. Finally, it's in the NPC, and we can go to the Olympia, we can qualify for the Olympia. So they all came over. So I was in the backstage warm-up area with like, I don't know, if anyone watching this follows wellness, like Franciel and like all of the top girls who are now placed top 1, 2, 3 at the Olympia. So it was, and they were all amateurs because they hadn't got their pro cards in.
Yeah, right.
It was so cool. It was like, I was just like in heaven. That was my first bodybuilding comp.
Yeah.
So good.
I love
so
your
good.
attitude.
COVID dampened it.
Yeah, of course.
The whole like Arnold's is cancelled and like.
I forgot about that.
Couldn't dampen everything.
Fuck! I just love your attitude towards it all. You're just like, no matter what, like this is sick. Like you just like you guys are just in the same boat, right? Yeah.
Like we are so lucky that we started doing this thing that everyone now understands is cool. It's like knowing a celebrity when they're a kid. It's like you're in with the cool crew now, and like we've done our time, and there are all these influencers coming up now, and I'm no hate on them at all. Like I mix with a lot of influencers now with working at Base Gym and everything, and just living in Sydney. But like you can't beat actual experience, and we have actual experience, and it's like just enjoy life with it. Like there's so many cool things you can do with it.
Oh, 100%. Like I've always, me being me, and it probably comes from my bias that I don't have a formal degree behind me, but it's like you can't trump experience. And, I love hearing, I'm going to throw you under the bus here, Johnny, but like your old school experiences of how you guys used to do things, and like, not saying they weren't the best way, we'll say. Like, it was definitely one way to do it, but like hearing those stories and seeing how far we've come, and like, yourself, Johnny, you're fucking at the beginning of this in Australia. Like, I'm sorry.
Especially with Capo, like you guys, you were in it.
It just makes you sound so old. I'm so sorry. I don't think so. I read this paper once that said no. Just the abstract though, so it's hard to say. In runners. We got to get that photo of you in the runners, the equip suit, and the squat. Oh,
And we used to squat without spotters because spotters are dumb. Why do you want spotters?
Well, you got to put your life on the line to know what you're made of, right?
exactly.
especially with the squat suits. Like, that just adds an extra level of unsafety, and it's just what you need.
When someone came spotters, because then we thought maybe they don't think
Yeah.
we got it.
This person doesn't trust me. Yeah.
That's insane.
So funny.
I can't imagine doing that now. It's like I'm probably like the opposite end now. Like I'm so cautious because I've caught so many people. Like I think I caught Luke Polly once with 350 on his back, and I'm like, you know what? Side spotters for everything now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Do you plan for more wellness competitions once the world kind of opens up for that stuff?
Yeah, so in like classic me style, I've picked my competition, and I'm hoping it'll go ahead more from my end. Like, my EDS has been playing up a lot lately. But I'm pretty confident. Like, I work with a really good physio, Andrew Locke. So Andrew, basically, I don't know if you guys know Andrew.
Yeah, we know Lockie.
He saved my powerlifting career. I was going to quit about halfway through, just after Pro World 6. My knees were so bad I couldn't do anything. And I contacted Wayne Howard actually, and I just said, Wayne, like, I will do anything, like, because he knew about me after Pro Raw, so he's like, I will do anything. Tell me who to do, like, go see what to do. Like, he said, go see Andrew. I was like, okay. He just gave me his number. I just called him. I was like, hey, Wayne told me to call you. Like, I didn't know who he was, what he did, anything. And yes, I've still been working with him actually, for the past, like, since 2014.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so if I can, I'm going to do the Olympia next year.
Fucking sick.
Yeah. Not saying that I've got an Olympia level physique, although hopefully I will by then, but like, it just that, like, especially after the lockdown and everything and doing the Arnold's last year, it's just like, you know what, like, if the goal is to become a pro so you can compete overseas, why not just compete overseas? Why wait until you get the pro card?
That's so sick.
And yeah, why not do it? Everyone's like, oh, I wish I could. I'm like, why can't you? Like, I'm in a good position. I'm single. I've got no kids. I've got, like, a job that supports doing this kind of thing. You know, for everyone at base, they're so supportive. I've got such a good support network. But at the same time, I did build that for myself. And yeah, if you want to do stuff, just do it.
I just love that there just doesn't seem to be a switch or a voice in your head that says, nah, you can't do something. And I fucking love that. Like, you're just an animal on the platform and off the platform and just getting after it. That's so cool. And I think a lot of women, if you're listening to this, just go follow her. Like, I'll do your own shout out for you. Just follow her and just listen to this and just take something away from it, because you're absolutely a pioneer of female strength in Australia for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. I will say the one voice that does come into my head, and as my EDS is getting worse, that does come into my head. Maybe you can't do this. And so I do understand what it feels like to have that voice, and it feels quite crippling, and you got to really work around it. So that's probably for me the biggest challenge, is that mental challenge of, like, not letting that get the better of me. But, like, we're going to be in pain anyway. If you've got this condition, you're going to be in pain anyway. You may as well do cool things.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna be in pain if you just sit on the couch all day. You're gonna be in pain if you go to the gym every day. Like, just choose your pain.
And there's which is, a lot of people say that in a very, like, metaphorical sense. Choose your pain. Like, do you want the pain of regret or the pain of, like, dieting? And it's like, actually, no. With Ehlers-Danlos loss, you'll literally do.
It's like you just
my back to hurt or my hip to hurt. Like,
yeah. It's like people are like, we're all gonna die from something. Choose your poison. I'm like, I've already chosen it. I know what I'm gonna die from. It's okay.
Make my face. Yeah. Which I should add a disclaimer: if anyone's listening to this has Ehlers-Danlos loss, don't train through pain and do not push to pain. Like, pain is not normal. It should not be there. You should not push to the point of pain.
This is a public service announcement on the behalf of the Platform Podcast.
It is. Yeah. No, that's good. We need to get that out of the way.
Oh, mate.
In fact, don't actually probably don't follow anything that I do, just as a general rule.
Man, I think
in theory, but not in practice.
I think you've got a lot of gold in your story that a lot of people can take away from. Obviously, don't follow. You can't walk the exact same path you do, but there's a lot of hidden gems in that, and I think it's absolutely unreal. But I know we are coming to an end of our podcast, and before We've got 10
Oh,
questions to get a real insight of to who you are. These are 10
God.
rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to mind. I cannot wait to hear these answers.
Are you ready?
Oh,
The first question.
I'm not, but okay.
I keep running out of battery on my phone.
That's okay.
Would you rename the apple to, given the opportunity?
The apple. Are we talking New York, like the phone, or the one you eat? Ah, interesting. I would name it to the. You know what? Let's make it confusing. Let's call it the pear. Let's just throw people off.
Oh, yeah, fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of debate around this one. Does chocolate belong in the fridge?
No, but also I can't eat chocolate because of my Ehlers-Danlos, so it just doesn't belong anywhere. Yeah, gone. Didn't need that question. Didn't need the chocolate.
What do you wish you spent more time doing?
Like over my life or right now? Clarify each question. What do I wish I spent more time doing? I'm pretty happy with how I'm pretty happy with how life is.
Yeah. What can you do today that you couldn't do 5 years ago?
Oh, for sure, work at base, like jobs that, like the job that I have at base. Again, how the fitness industry has evolved. I can work at base, and I face, 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 and I.
That's fucking cool. What activity do you
Dead human body or like a dead animal body? What would I do with it? Well, I know the dead body smell from my cadaver lab, so I would probably turn the air conditioning on first thing.
You're going on holidays, you've got a chick in your hotel room, you've got a dead body. What do you do? Human.
Walking. Just rather get places on a little scooter or little wheels, something like that.
That's the fucking best answer we've ever got.
What's your most disliked mode of transportation? Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think I saw that on one of my powerlifting friends' Instagram stories.
Oh, I'm going to quickly interject here. Like, I went to
Wow.
dinner last night at a sushi restaurant in the Valley. Johnny, you probably... Oh, you guys, if you're from Brisbane. You know Ginger and
gotta
the
hand it to-
Emporium in the Valley?
You got to hand it to 2021. It's thrown off some.
They
real
have a fucking
curveballs,
robot
like
that
those
brings you the
really
food
good
now.
Things that have come out of it, like the sushi robot. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like... I
Uh,
was like, that is ultimate...
Well-
like, I'm still mind-blown.
there is actually
Anywho,
a
I just wanted to inject on that.
So, like, well, it's just as much of a color as anything else, right? Because it absorbs or reflects light.
We have robots now.
So I'd say it's, you know, like anything, the reason anything is a color is because of the amount of light it reflects. So the question that I present back to you is, without the presence of light, things don't actually, because you know how like something that's like dark color, it absorbs more light rather than reflecting it, and lighter color things reflect more light. So the question I pose back to you as my answer is, if there's no light on in the room, is anything even a color? So is anything a color? Okay.
Yeah.
Nail in the coffin by, yeah, that's done. Oh, that stretchy person, because I've already got it. I've got the Ehlers-Danlos. I don't want it.
I don't
I'm
think
done.
we
I
should
wanna give
ask
up.
that
I wanna
question ever
give up.
again. That question should be retired after that answer. That was fucking well done.
Sold.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
your what superpower do you
Yeah.
not want to have?
And I put it under as well because I'm in a share house. I just like to, give people a good good start to their day.
Now, do you fold the toilet paper or
Yeah.
just the toilet paper?
But like
100%.
only if it's a community. If it's a community. Like
That's
only
the
if there's
10.
other people using
Mate,
it.
that was-
I like to, you know, I like to just mix things up for other people. If I'm on my own, I don't care. If I'm on my own, I don't care. That makes me sound like
Did
a
you go
jerk. After
under?
she gets to the end of the podcast, and I'll be like, wow, this person's a real
I was literally
asshole.
just-
I'm
No.
gonna forget everything she said, but
That's not where it goes. It goes over.
look, if I'm by myself, I probably don't even get to putting it on there.
Yeah.
I just You know, you know.
Yeah. I just like so if you're by yourself, do you put it like the toilet paper goes over? But if you're
Thank you guys. Yeah, it was great.
yeah, fair, like 100%. I reckon people like shout out Valhalla, but sorry if I leave the toilet paper on and I don't change the toilet
Yeah, so
roll holder.
I
Like,
don't actually do a
it's
whole heap of
just I live
coaching. I
here.
do a little bit face
Anywho,
to face out of
mate,
Space Body
thank you so
Studio,
much for
which
your
is a
time
little
today.
bit
That
of
was an absolute
flexibility.
wicked podcast.
I do a little
Could
bit
you
of online coaching
give
though,
yourself a shout
and
out? Where can people
yeah, if
find you?
anyone's
Where
got
can they go
LinkedIn, like
get in
actually
touch for
feel
either
free
coaching
to
or whatever?
send me a message, and I
If
love
they want
getting
to reach
messages
out,
from
sorry, if
people
they're
with
in
EDS.
Sydney at
And I
Base
love
Gym.
to put out education about the EDS and strength training. So if you've got questions about that, and Brandon, if you've got any questions about your clients or anything, yeah, let me know. Let me know. But Annie Short Strength is my Instagram. So you can go through and look at all my lockdown training because we just had like all of my training in the kitchen. Yeah, we just got out of lockdown, so we've just been in actual gyms and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be picking your brain for sure. Done.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for having me
Oh
on.
yeah, you're only out of lockdown. Yeah. Fuck, mate. We will put all those. We'll put the link up to your socials in our show notes if people, and we'll direct them to your Instagram and your social media, mate. Thank you so much for giving up your time today. We really appreciate it. No worries. Bye.